I'm Cuthbert Phillips. I'm also the chairman of the St. Lucia Agriculturists Association and president of the Chamber of Agriculture. In addition to that, I've also sat as a member of the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association with responsibility for linkages between tourism and agriculture. I'm more or less a small farmer. Farming for me, well, it has always been in me, and I have a small farm in the Cul-de-sac area. And on my farm, I'm going heavily into passion fruit, especially mangoes and cash crops such as melons and pumpkins. For years now, we have been saying, and I guess I have been saying it too, that we need that linkage between agriculture and tourism. The two should more or less be working hand in hand. And with the going out of bananas and coming in of vegetable farming, over the years, we have been pressing for that linkage. Although this thing, we have been talking about it for the last 20, 30 years, I don't think it has been properly structured as such, whereby the farmer can see the full benefit of his producing for the tourist industry. He's still of the view that a lot of what can be produced here, that the hotels are still importing. But over the years, as we are saying, we cannot blame the hotels, because the hotel needs a product that's consistent. It has to be of a high quality. And we have to ask ourselves as farmers, can we produce what the hotel wants us to produce for them? And if we cannot produce it, they have to feed their guests. They will be looking at it on the outside. That linkage, to me, has to be properly structured. It has to be at the highest level. We have tried it. Let's say you have to set the policy as far as at the ministerial level. Let's take it from the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Tourism. The Hotel and Tourism Association with the other agriculturist associations, or those, I would say, farmers like the Bellevue Farmers Corp and other Black Bay Farmers Corp, who are involved within the production of fresh fruits and vegetables. Of late, the government was looking at this and say, well, look, let the thing be a business. Let us see how the hotels can be involved and the farmers can be involved. For this, 12 acres of land was identified in the outside area. And the plan was to establish what you would call a farmer's mall, almost like a one-stop shop. The farmer will produce, and he would bring his produce to the marketing arm, and that marketing arm supposed to have been the St. Lucia Marketing Board, which would have changed its whole formation and structure into a business entity involving with ownership of the farmers, the hotels, and even some of the business places. For some reason or the other, that fell through. Nothing happened. And I also want to tell you, within that area of the Farmers Mall, it would also be a visiting area for visitors. They would be able to see the fresh produce that's produced in St. Lucia. They would even be able to taste it, because in that you would have various shops in the agricultural sector, like juices, fruits, even restaurants with local meats and all that. All that was planned, but it never took place. And unless we know exactly what we want, and then we can structure it properly, the farmers will still be having problems.
We've been here for 2 days now. Food's lovely. We've had lots of sandwiches, which has been really nice. Club sandwich, jerk chicken, Yeah, it's just an all-rounded really nice place.
My food's coming up right now. I'm excited to eat.
One way we could take part in the tourism industry is that the locals could at least begin to promote the local produce, by creating, local cuisines, local dishes, that could cause us, to use those produce. Okay, the way I see it relating to the agricultural sector is that it provides an avenue for farmers, that upon producing your fruits, you know that there is this market that you could at least sell your fruits through. So in one way, it serves almost as an export market because most of the persons, when you sell to the tourism industry, it's visitors you sell to. I believe the sector, the agricultural sector per se, could create an avenue with linking with the tourism sector, especially in terms of when they issue land and aliens holding licenses, to have special clauses within that, investors who are looking forward to investing in the hotel industry or the tourism industry would be mandated, to procure or to buy a certain percentage of the local produce. And that would create an avenue that, our farmers would be able to, sell most of the produce instead of having imported foods coming in. So
if we work on it, the first thing you have to do is that, and we were working on it before, I don't know how far we've gone with it, is the question, the hotels have to say exactly what it is we want. This thing has to be in a database. It says, well, for the year we want about 500 tons of tomatoes, we want so many tons of lettuce or whatever the case is, and what time of the year we want it. So what would happen, rather than creating a glut when you really don't require that particular type of vegetable at that time of the year. So you know exactly when to produce and not wait for the weather to produce. Because right now we have, if you see some of the modern greenhouses, you can produce at any time of the year right now. So what has to happen? You have to have the information, and the farmer must be so trained that he knows when to plant, he knows in the quantities in which he should plant, and he should almost be able to have what you call his pricing, to know exactly, is it economical for me to grow it or not? Because what might be economical in a certain area, because maybe of land type, might be different in another area. And because one farmer sees me growing lettuce and he believes, Christ, he's making money in it, let me grow it too, it might not be the best for him in that area. He can maybe look for another crop. But I think it can be done if it is properly organized. We might not be able to do it right away. The question is, forget what has happened in the past. Let's sit around the table and let's come up with a blueprint as to exactly what we want, where we want it, when we want to achieve it, and who are the people we want involved in it.
Tourism industry and agricultural, they're supposed to be linked to each other because tourists come for sea, sand, the ambience. They come also. They go tourism and agriculture. They work hand in hand. The big thing is ecotourism with sustainability, with biodiversity, and agriculture contains all of that. The disappearing fruits, the fruits that people have never seen. They come for that experience, to experience us, what we have in terms of our foods, in terms of our dances, in terms of our aesthetics, the ambience, the plants, the flowers. And when I train tour guides, I teach them about the plants. People come, that's what they see. The first thing they encounter is the green, the gardens, like what we call the Creole gardens and the backyard gardens, and have tours in your garden. In addition, give value to the products that you get from the garden and from the plants in terms of arts and craft, in terms of making mats out of straws, using the coconut shell and creating, arts and craft objects that people could buy when they come, souvenirs as it were. Let's use our creativity as young people and our imagination to use what we have, the campeche, the banana, the coconut shells, the cuscus grass, etc., 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 and be creative, do things, use the crocus bag, and all that kind of thing we have around us, and the agricultural products, and make byproducts, make jams, make, dry stuff that people could eat, and all this kind of thing, tamarind balls, and all these other things we can do to excite the tourists, the tourists, and make money from it at the same time, to enrich ourselves economically and socially. Present, by choice, I am a gardener. I work with the land, and the idea is to create little Creole gardens all over the place, and the whole is to fuse a consortium of plants used for the aesthetics, used for food security, organic, biodiversity. So we have to be able to dance through all of these difficulties, all of these challenges, and produce food for our people and for the world.
If you look at the marketplace, persons now, visitors are coming, you want to go into the marketplace. On these counters, you want to see a quality product. You want to see a product well washed. You don't want to see a product on a dirty bag. Because he too, the visitor, want to take photographs because it's a new, he's seen a mango maybe for the first time. He's seen, a dasheen or that thing. He will want to take a photograph, he want to bring it back. All these things are part and parcel of the industry because in coming in there and looking at it, he will purchase something. But we then have to decide, not because we're in a small island, we have to do it just like we do it worldwide. You go to these huge supermarkets, it comes to the point where persons are even polishing sometimes their fruit. You look at the fruit, you say, goodness, how this thing can be shining like that? Here, all we need sometimes is to wash it properly, present it in a manner that somebody can look at it, like it. Too scattered, every man for himself. And if we stay that way, what is going to happen to us? Production is going to cost us too much. Here it is, you have a small farmer. If you're on your farm, you're producing. You have your FAR, you bring your stuff down to the market. So you're leaving the farm, you're bringing it down to the market. Yourself, your wife, or your children on a Saturday might have to spend the day by the market trying to sell your produce. In addition to that, have you got the capital for storage? Sometimes these things have to be in chillers, and you have to ask the question, as all the little farmers around the place have such a facility. But if there was one central area where that small farmer need not even have to leave his farm, what you would do is that the marketing arm would then come to the farm, gate it, collect that produce from the small farmer, and again bring to one central area where, let us say, those persons selling by the market, the vendors could purchase and then resell. The hotels could then buy, or any other organization who wanted to purchase would purchase. So that would be removing the burden of the small farmer. The other thing too is in inputs. If everybody is going here, bringing his own inputs, and then you have to buy from some of the business people who are dealing in agricultural produce, you will find the quantities being brought in are so limited that the cost is going to be very high. I've been telling farmers in St. Lucia, like you have the Agriculturist Association. That association belongs to the farmers. The position it finds itself in today is because of the farmers themselves, because over the years a lot of them did not pay their debts. But let's forget the past. It is still there, it's still owned by the farmers. So what we want now is that the younger farmer coming in to look at such entity as being their own and using it to their benefit. Right now, what we have to do in cases like that, because of the past and because of the debt, we have to reorganize, we have to restructure. And I'm not saying you have to depend on government totally, but sometimes it's necessary to facilitate and start again, take it from there and move with it. So that in the long run, it could be beneficial to the farmer, and not only beneficial to him, he can also say to himself that he has ownership of the organization. So nobody is ripping him off, no middleman. It belongs to him, right? He's ordering his supplies in bulk. It's cheaper for him. And even the market structure, he too can have ownership in that market structure.